Did you know that there are over 4,000 trains in service in Britain, and that they in total go on 20,000 trips every weekday? Seems like they made a pretty big impact on Britain today. But how did they impact the economy and society of Britain between 1804 and 1900, when they were first invented? What was the significance of the development of the railways on Britain in the Industrial Revolution? Prior to the railways, most goods were transported by wagonways, horse-drawn carts which ran on wooden rails. They worked well, but were significantly inefficient. So in 1804, a man named Richard Trevithick built the first steam locomotive for a bet by his boss. It was able to pull 10 tons of coal, but being the first design, it wasn't really reliable. However, what this did allow was to let others build on his design. In 1814, George Stephenson, known as the father of railways, grew up at the Killingworth colliery, and he built the first full-scale steam train, the Blusher, which was used for the transportation of coal to the main markets. In 1825, the establishment of the Stockton and Darlington Railway Company took place. It used some of George's trains, the Experiment, which was the first ever passenger train, and the locomotive. The locomotive went at 8 miles per hour, but it was unheard at the time, and soon the line was in profits. In 1826, the Liverpool and Manchester Railway Company took place the Rainhill Train Trials competition. George Stephenson and his son Robert won with the rocket steam train design. It ran at a whopping 30 miles per hour, a huge jump from its previous trains. The railway company opened up and used George trains. It became the first successful steam train since it ran passengers as well as goods. The so-called Railway Mania event took place after this, where thousands of railway track and trains were built. By 1900, there were 20,000 miles of railway track just in Britain. They connected towns and cities all over the country. At first, trains were just really useful machines. No one really thought of going full scale with them. That all changed with the opening of the Liverpool and Manchester railway line. This basically showed how trains could be a fast way to earn money. As railway companies boomed, owners needed more workers to build, run and maintain them, which led to over 100,000 people being employed. Despite the heavy investing into the railways, which also boosted the economy, railway travel was 50% cheaper than stagecoach travel, and much faster too, as you can imagine, and this allowed people to travel outwards to find work. Train travel was also calculable, an incredibly big boom for economists. Trains also meant that people could go on holidays and day trips more often, so beachside resorts sprung up and profited. This effect was amplified through the 1844 Railway Act, which forced all railway companies to sell really cheap tickets for the working class. Trains also meant that goods were cheaper, and farmers could get their perishable foodstuff such as fish and eggs to the market quicker. Other goods, such as coal and iron, became cheaper as well. The trains and railways meant that for the first time, the middle and upper class passengers could come together and meet. Towns sprang up around Britain, and as the vacation spots for the wealthy opened up for everybody else, the wealthy migrated further out to fishing villages or remote towns for their holidays. Another interesting thing which resulted from the railways is the standardization of British time, which led to the formation of the GMT, Greenwich Meridian Time, which is important to the creation of time zones around the world. This resulted because towns and cities weren't in sync, and their timetables were not in sync as well. As a result, train crashes were very common, which called for the standardization of British time so all trains could know when the other trains are coming. Of course, it was not all sunshine and happiness with the railways. Even though the majority of the public went crazy with the advent of the trains, some groups of people opposed the notion of it. Farmers thought that trains passing through would cause cows to produce stale milk, or it would scare farm animals into giving birth prematurely or dying, and the smoke would destroy crops. The aristocracy group believed that trains would hinder in fox and other animal hunting, because the noise of the trains would scare away the animals. The cannon businesses felt threatened but couldn't do anything about it. And of course, traveling at the speed of a cannonball, it is hard not to think the notion of instant death should the least of all accidents occur. Anyway, these oppositions faded out as time went on. So there you have it. Trains revolutionized Britain between 1804 and 1900. They impacted the economy by a huge amount. They created new towns and holiday resorts. And last but not least, let's not forget that without the trains, we would never have the famous phrase, chicka 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 choo choo.